Hello everyone, we are going to discuss some very important reading comprehension techniques. And before we start, I would request you to download this test paper. If you simply go to Google and write set test 8, you will be able to download the test paper from the college board site, because we are going to refer to this. We are going to discuss about a passage called as Venus flytrap. So this is Venus flytrap passage, which is basically the last passage from the reading comprehension of test 8. And we're going to discuss some important techniques of doing reading comprehension with the help of this passage. So you may like to read this passage first before you go on, so you can pause this video, download the test paper, read the passage, the last reading comprehension passage from test 8. I'll show it to you here. So this is the passage. I'll just increase the font size so that it is easily visible to you. This is as you can see on page number 16, so you can download it and read it quickly before we move on. Okay, so I hope you read this and you have got some idea of what the passage is. So when we refer to those questions, it would be easy for you to understand what we are talking about. Well, the technique we are going to discuss is something which can save a lot of time and which can help you get to the right answer quickly. You would be spending less of your mental energy, which is very important on the test day, because if you read too much, you easily get exhausted and you get less time to reach to the analyze the options and select the right answer. So it is very important that you economize upon your time as well as energy on the test day, and this technique is going to help you do that. Okay, so what exactly is this technique? Let me first of all tell you about how people usually answer questions. So whenever you read a question, you usually read the question along with the options. What I'm suggesting here is change your sequence. Read the question, understand the question first. Now don't read the options. Read the question, understand the question, research the text. So go back to the comprehension passage, research the relevant text, and have your option ready. Guess, anticipate, or paraphrase the answer. So you have got something in your mind first. Rather than reading the options, you have something in your mind first which you are going to match with the options. People usually go do the other way around. They read the options and then they think, what is there in my mind? Sometimes it matches, sometimes it does not match, and sometimes it mismatches, and they think that, oh fine, this looks like the right answer, and then they go ahead, which usually traps them. So instead of you reading the passage, reading the option first, why not go back to the passage and read the option, read the passage and research the passage, and have a very clear idea of what could be the right answer. When you know what could be the right answer, when you're very confident about it, the moment something similar strikes your eyes, you would be able to see, oh, this looks like an answer. We'll see this with some examples. Okay, so let's go straight to one of the questions in this passage, which is question number 46, and let us read this question together. Only the question. Okay, so in the second paragraph, line 15 to 31, the discussion of short-term memory primary functions too. Now, one more important thing, whenever you read the question, keep on marking it. So, like the way I have marked it in line 15 to 31. So, I'm not focused about anything else. I'm not concerned about anything else. Line 15 to 31 is the only thing which I'm focused about or concerned about. The discussion of short-term memory. Okay, so there is something like short-term memory which they have talked about in this question. Primarily functions too. So what is the primary function? Why exactly are they discussing about this short-term memory? I'm sorry, it's like I'm not properly circled it, but the whole idea is that you should keep on circling the primary things. Okay, so what exactly is the purpose of this discussion of short-term memory in line 15 to 31? So let me go straight to lines 15 to 31 and try to understand what they speak about. So now see, I've read this passage, and whenever I read it, I make sure that I create some milestones here, and they help me a great deal. So let me come straight to this line. We can look at this system. Now this system means which system? Probably the system is talked about here. So this system which is being discussed in the previous paragraph. So I'm not reading that paragraph right now, but I know that the system has been discussed here in the previous paragraph as analogous to short-term memory. Okay, so they have discussed some system here which is analogous to, which means similar to. So they are making a comparison of this system with short-term memory. We see, which means human beings have got short-term memory, and they are making a comparison here. So which means this system is something related to or something similar to the short-term memory that human beings have. And then they have given the whole lot of explanation to what this system is about, or some kind of analogy, how it relates to our short-term memory, how is it similar. First, the flytrap encodes the information forms of the memory that something it doesn't know what has touched one of its hairs. So they are kind of trying to remember something when something touches their hair. Then it stores this information for a number of seconds and finally retrieves this information once a second hair is touched. So two hairs are touched. When the first hair is touched, they retain this information, so it becomes a memory. And when the second hair is touched, they kind of recall it. Oh, I know, sometime back also somebody touched one of the hair. So by that they are able to guess the size, and they are trying to relate it with human short-term memory. We also have a short-term memory. If something happens to us, we kind of store it in our memory, and if something similar happens, we restore that information, recall that memory, and kind of answer it. That's how you do maths questions, isn't it? You remember a formula, then if there is some similar type of question, you recall that memory of that formula, and then you do that question. And if there is a long time gap between you remembering the formula and then getting the question, you kind of find it difficult to recall the formula. Same thing is happening here. Short-term memory is short-term because it is short-term. It does not remain long with you. So in this particular plant also, there is some kind of short-term memory playing, which is similar to us remembering something. So why have they given this example of short-term memory? Why? Well, I think they have given this example just to make things clear. Something which is happening in human beings is also happening in plants, that they have some kind of short-term memory. So in order to make us understand this concept a little clearly, they have given this analogy. Now, when I know that this is an analogy and this is for the purpose of clearing something, I can find an option which matches my choice, and this is actually A. Let's look at A and let's look at other options also. Clarify an explanation. So what does it mean? Clarify an explanation means giving a little clearer idea. Clarify an explanation. So explanation was given in the previous paragraph. In order to clarify it, they have given this whole paragraph that, see, this is how this plant works. Something similar to human memory is there in this plant also, which is like a short-term memory of human beings. So clarify an explanation matches it. Advance a controversial hypothesis. See, there is nothing controversial there. So this makes me cancel this option. Stress the distinction between strategies of Venus flytrap and strategies of human beings. So we are not actually comparing for the purpose of finding some distinctions or dissimilarities. It was for the purpose of making us understand something clearly, that they talked about human memory. So it's not about distinction. So this one gone. Emphasize Venus flytrap's capacity for retaining detailed information. Now again, see, this is very controversial. No detailed information is being talked about. They are talking about short-term memory and something which is just like a trigger. So it's not detailed. So when we read it, we know that this was the right answer. Eliminating rest of them was quite easy because we were going with some kind of anticipation. So this is something very important. Whenever you do the questions, read the question first, go back to the passage, research it, find out what could be the right things, like going back to 15 to 31, reading that, and then anticipating and answering the questions. Let's do one more question quickly here. Like question number 67. What is the meaning of demonstrated here? Now when you look at the word demonstrated, Demonstrated actually means, let me just read the question once again. I'll open another test paper. What is the meaning of the word demonstrated? Okay. So this is the test paper, the question number 49, as you can see. Now, demonstrated means what? Now here I've already marked the answer actually, but then just to demonstrate how to get this, I will not read the options here. As used in line 67, demonstrated most nearly means. So I'll go back to the test paper where line 67 is there. So line 67, subsequent research suppose I'm reading from 65. So see, I'm expanding my window a little bit to understand the context a little clearly. So these words, sometimes they ask a certain word and these words have multiple meanings, so we have to understand the context very clearly to see in which context is this word used. So I'm reading a little more than the lines prescribed there. Subsequent research support this model. Alexander Volkov and his colleagues at this university first demonstrated that it is indeed electricity that causes the Venus flytrap to close. First demonstrated that it sounds like some kind of conclusive example they have given, and they first demonstrated that it is indeed electricity. When you say indeed electricity, it's like you are now very sure that up till now you were not very clear, but now you are very sure that it is electricity which is causing some kind of effect of Venus flytrap getting closed. So these words show that demonstration means something was proven, something was established, and that is the meaning of the word demonstrated there. It is not protested, it is not performed, it is not argued, it is actually established. Now we were able to reach to this answer established only because we understood the context first. But if we had read these options first, we would have got confused. So it's very important that you read the question first, then go back to the passage, research the passage, think of the right answer, and then try to see which word matches what you are looking for. Thank you so much.